When your customer needs a specific color of mesh and that color isn't available, what do? I'll show you what I did with this custom angel wing wreath later on in this video. Let's get started.
Okay, so for this angel wing wreath, I'm going to do the same thing that I've done on previous angel wing wreaths that I've made. I'm going to make some in the white, but I'm going to add a little bit of color later on. But I want to show you just the gist of how I make my petals. First of all, I'm going to be cutting this using a wood burning tool, and this is a chisel tip. Okay, and it cuts down on the frame to use a wood burning tool. So I have a glass cutting board, and then I have a cutting mat underneath it. And you can see right here, I have a little mark there that is going to, it's my 10-inch mark. So since this is a little frayed right here, I'm going to go ahead and just go from the very, maybe a 1/2 inch in, okay? And what I want to do, I want to stay within the lines of the poly burlap as I cut. And then I'll just take that off. So I'm going to take this right to the edge here. And then where my 10-inch line is, that's normally, if I was going to cut them in 10 by 10 pieces, that's normally where I would cut it. But I'm going to cut it just a little bit wider than that. I'm going to go to about the 10.5-inch mark. And again, within the lines of the poly burlap. Okay, I'm going to show you two different ways that I'm making this, okay? Because we have a different petal for the left side than we do the right side. So again, at the 10.5-inch. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Okay, so for this, I'm going to show you the petal for the right wing first. For the right side, I like to do top down, okay? I think of a convertible, okay? I'm going to grab my top left and bring it down, okay? And when I do that, I'm going to make sure that the edge, the cut edge, does not go over that finished edge that's on the bottom. And then I have just about 1 inch on this right hand side. And what I want to do is fuse this to what's underneath it. Okay, and I'm going to go right along that finished edge there, and it fuses to the mesh that is behind it. Okay, I'm going to wait just a couple seconds, kind of make sure that heat kind of gets that fused. Okay, and you can see right there, that's fused together. Okay, so this is going to be for the right side, and I'll show you here in just a minute how to make the petal. Okay, I'm going to put that over to the side. So for the left side, same thing. I have the finished edge on the top and the bottom, but instead of the top down, we're going bottoms up. So bottoms up is left. I think of, well, a nice cold beer. Okay, so kind of bring that over. Again, we don't want this the cut edge to go over top where the finished edge is. And then I'm going to go from this corner down to the folded side. Go nice and slow and fuse these together. We don't care how it looks once we get towards that folded edge, because that is going to be hidden. You're not going to see that at all. Okay, so see how that's fused together? So we have, this is going to be our left side. Okay, I got some 6-inch zip ties here. So to make the petal, I got the left side and then I have the right side. Okay, so I'll go back to the right side. I'm going to put the finished edge on my right just because I'm right-handed. I'm going to bring this down so that the finished edge is on top and this fused edge is on the bottom. Okay. Again, you see the finished edge, fused edge, and then we have at least an inch. I prefer more like 1.5 inches, okay? And then scrunch towards that folded edge. That way it gives a little bit more of a curve. And then I'm going to zip tie this shut. Okay. So for the left side, again, I have that folded edge over to my right, and I'm going to flip this up where I have that finished edge on top, fused edge on the bottom. Again, leaving about 1.5 inch gap there. Kind of fold that in and then scrunch towards that folded edge and then zip it shut. Okay, so there you go. We have what is going to go on the left wing, and this is going to go on the right wing. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to add the color to it. So my customer wanted a custom angel wing wreath, and the color that she wanted, she showed me a picture, and it wasn't quite pink and it wasn't quite coral. It was somewhere in between. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually combine the two. I'm going to fuse the two colors together to come up with this color that's going to be right in between. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to take, I want the color to be more of the predominant color to be the coral, and the side that's going to be facing the front is going to be this curled inside. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start this. I want to make sure these two are kind of lined up as good as they can. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and kind of cut these two together. Okay, just about 1 inch in. And yes, I'm using a wood burning tool. The heat will fuse these two together. So now what I'm going to do, now that this is fused together, I'm going to make this about 10 inches long. I'm going to put this on here just to kind of help me keep it stable. Okay, again, making sure that my edges are as close to each other as possible. And I'm going to go right down that 10-inch mark. Okay, so you can see these are fused together. Okay, so okay, for the right side, I'm going to have that finished edge here on the top right. I'm going to cut this diagonally. Now you don't really need to do this with the wood burning tool. I just like to do it this way because it's easier to work with. Okay, and if it's not perfect, you don't really need to worry because nobody's going to see it. However, I just like to do it this way because it makes it easy. Okay. But yeah, I did want to point out though, you can see this color. It's not quite pink. And it's not quite coral. It's right there in between. So this is going to work out perfect. Okay. So yeah, I have this, which is going to be for my right side. Okay. And then I have this one here. I'm going to have that finished edge on the top left. And fuse these together. So for the right side of the wing, again, we're going to make petal to be very similar to what we did with the just white. Okay, I'm going to go top down. Again, kind of making sure this is above that finished edge there. Now I'm going to take what I cut for the right side. And remember, we want this to be curl side up. And I have this long edge right along that long edge. And this is going to be, that factory edge is going to be on the same side of what we're going to fuse. Okay? So, kind of get this lined up. So this is also above that factory edge of the poly burlap. And I want these to go over because I'm going to fuse off that factory edge of this colored mesh. So kind of make sure this is over far enough. And I'm going to take my good old time. Okay. Again, I'm not worrying too much of what that looks like up on the folded side. But I'm going to take my good old time, kind of fuse that together. Okay. And I'm going to kind of hold this down as I'm doing it. Okay. Now, I'm going to hold this here. Kind of make sure that heat, like it cools down as it's fused together. Okay, that way when you let go, it's still fused together. Sometimes if it's still too hot, it'll want to pop off. So that kind of helps. Sometimes it's still not going to fuse as good as you want it to. And I'll show you what to do in that case. But, so this is going to be for the right wing. And I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to grab another 10.5 by 10 piece of poly burlap. I'm going to do bottoms up for our left wing. Do the same thing where we're keeping it underneath that factory edge. I'm going to take one of these that we cut for the left side. Make sure that long edge is together. I'm going to bring this over enough. Kind of line it up so that we're taking off that factory edge of the colored mesh. Okay. And the tip is where we are most concerned about, that point. So I'm going to kind of hold on to that real good and make sure that is like cooling off while I have that together. Taking my good old time. Again, we're not too worried about what it looks like once we get to the top. Now, I still have a little bit of piece of here that colored mesh didn't quite fuse on that very tip. So what I usually like to do is just kind of go right along that very edge. Try to do it one more time. Kind of, again, I'm just holding down on it, making sure that that fuses together. And that's much better. Okay, you can see that fuse together. So we don't need the wood burning tool anymore. And we don't need this glass cutting board, so I'm going to move that out of the way. Okay, so we have what is going to be our left wing and what is going to be our right wing. I know it doesn't look very pretty right now, but it will. Okay, so we have that fused edge there. And we have the factory edge down here. Now, we're not worried about what this looks like up here, because you can see that's coming up over top. That's fine. We can cut it off, whatever we want to do if it's in our way. But kind of want to make sure when I flip this over, I want to try to make sure that not too much of this pink is showing, like rolled underneath here. So kind of just make sure that that is lined up. Push it up against this top piece here and kind of get that right over. And we're going to do the exact same thing like we did with the just white mesh. Okay, fold that in and scrunch. Okay. And this is much thicker because we have that, actually 2 other pieces of mesh in there. So that is our left wing. I'm going to do the same thing with the right wing. Bring this down. Actually, let's try to adjust this just enough. Kind of make sure we got really good on inside there. And again, I'm not worried about what this looks like up here. I just want to make sure that this pink doesn't kind of make its way underneath this factory edge here. Okay, then I'm going to pull that in and scrunch up. Okay, and there you go. That is our petal for the right wing. So I'm going to make a bunch of these. Some of them are going to be just white. Some are going to have this pink in there. And I will show you how I put it on the wreath. So in previous videos that I've done for these angel wings, I've showed you how I make this form. It's basically 2 carrot forms. You can get them from the Dollar Tree, or I make these and sell them on my website and Etsy shop. But I attach these to a 6-inch round form, okay? And then I have plastic canvas. I also like to put just a wooden dowel rod. It just kind of keeps it from flopping, okay? So I have that already done. And I have these, I drew lines, 2-inch mark, and then every 2 inches going up just to here. Okay, and that's where I stopped, kind of right where the bottom of where this 6-inch form starts. And then I have a line straight down the middle, again, just so I know kind of where I am. Okay, these lines going across, that is where I'm going to put my zip ties for my petals. Okay, so let's get started putting the petals on. So I got my 6-inch zip ties. I have my form here, and I have just the white. I'm going to start with the white on the bottom and kind of try to blend in and then go to the pink up on top. Okay, so what I'm going to do right here where I have my first line right there at the 2-inch mark, I'm going to go about 2 holes in, go around the outside of the form. I got my first little thing here, start my zip tie, and then there you go. And I like to go from the outside in, and I'll show you here why I like to do that. I'm going to do the same thing, 2 holes from the outside, and then go around that form. Okay, and zip tie it shut. Now the reason I go from the outside in is, see how this lays on top. If I go from the inside out, I'll have, this will be covered this way, and you don't want that. Okay, so it lays just fine right there. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so I have 2 on that very bottom row. Then I'm going to go and put 3 across. And what I'm going to do here, because I'm trying to just slowly blend that pink in, I'm going to put 1 white in the middle. I'm going to do the pink, and then on the inside another white. And I'm going to put that middle one where I have that line, that's my center. So I'm going to go right there, go in 1 hole, skip a hole, come out the other. Okay, so for this next row up, I'm going to go 4 across, and I think I'm going to do white, pink, white, pink. Okay, so now we're going to go 5 across and pink, white, pink, white, pink. Okay, so from this next row, I'm going to stick with 5 petals because these are already pretty close together. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit 6 across. So we're going to go 5 across, and I am going straight pink now. No more white. Okay, these are feeling very, very full. When you are putting these on, like this right here, I'm seeing a little bit of fraying. You can go ahead and cut it. But for the most part, this is looking very, very full. It's coming together wonderfully. Okay, so I have all of my petals for the left and the right out. I am going to start on this top part. On this top part, I am going to be kind of making sure the petals go out to the sides. It's, you know, because if you go straight up, guess what? You're going to have this top part here and it's going to look funky. So we want them to go out to the sides and like this, okay? We want to make sure these tops of these petals are covered. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to actually go top down. Again, I just want to show what we're going to be doing is making sure this curved part covers that. I don't want that to be covered like that. And if we went bottom up, that's what we would end up doing. So we're going to switch that around this time. Okay? So I'm going to start just about here, not quite to the top yet. Go around the form. And I'll grab this. And again, I'm going to make sure it's kind of going out to the side. Get these out of the way. And I'm just going to go I'm going to say about 1.5 inches down. I'm guesstimating here. And as I'm going down, I'm going to have the petal facing further downward to match up with these. You'll see as I'm getting this done here. I probably should be using 8-inch zip ties to get that to go in there a little bit easier. Okay, make sure they're good and tight. Okay, so as you can see, it's kind of going straight up and down. Start going out, out, and out. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing on the right side here. So you can kind of see how they're starting to flare out now. I'm going to go in, and it's going to be just about 2 inches from the last zip tie, because that's just about an inch up here. And then I'm going to go about an inch from there and start another row going down. Now, sometimes you're going to have to use this dowel rod as part of the petal, kind of go around it. Sometimes it'll be in your way, sometimes it won't. You just got to work with it. So we're going to go 4 more down here. I'm just going to go around that dowel rod because that's going to be a little much. So all that's going to do is going to help secure that dowel rod on there even better. And I'm going to go just a little bit kind of into where this 6-inch round form is. And yes, I'm going to have to kind of go where that bar is. So it kind of makes it a little awkward, but it still works. Okay, so I have 3 more that I want to put in kind of right there, pretty much in the center, right around that inner ring of that 6-inch form. And I think for this top one, I'm going to use that dowel rod again. So all we need to do is put the flowers on. That the flowers will help hide this down here, and all these zip ties and everything like that in the middle. If you wanted to just do some kind of a sign or something like that that you could place right here that would cover all of that, go ahead and do that. That would be perfect. But this is what we have here. I'm going to add flowers, some florals, and some greenery. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, so I have some florals and some greenery. I have no idea where I got this flower, but I thought it was the perfect color. It's not pink, it's not coral. It does have a little bit of a yellowish center, but I think it's going to go perfect with this. I have these coral roses from Hobby Lobby. I also have these little white baby's breath from Hobby Lobby. Boxwood, Walmart. The ficus, I got these all cut down too. The ficus is from Michael's, and I believe this fern is from Joann's. So I'm just going to put all of these together. This is actually very difficult to bend. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of stick it in here, use a zip tie to put that in. But from this point, I'm just going to use some hot glue, maybe mix it with a little bit of E6000, make sure it sticks on there really good. And I'm just going to put all this together and we'll be done. So what do you think of this gorgeous angel wing wreath? I love this custom color. I'm going to point out this pink was just too pink and the coral obviously too coral. So this turned out the way I really wanted it to. I love it. It was a perfect color for what my customer needed. And listen, you can do so many other colors. If you wanted to do a light blue and a lavender, it'll be more like a periwinkle. Wouldn't that be gorgeous? There's just so many other colors you can do. Get your mind going. Think of something you can do with that. My name is Patty Davis. I'm with Crooked Tree Creations, and I'll see you in our next video.